We need like our own Snickers bar, like where they're like taking a break, like they're hangry and then they eat it and they're like, ah,
Maybe just, with all my doom and gloom takes, maybe it should be more like freight broke.
freight broke.
Like freight, it broke.
It broke.
You're listening to The Freight Break on the BCS Freight Network with your hosts, Josh Hanes and Paul Gibson.
You're listening to The Freight Break. What's up, Josh?
What's going on, Paul? Happy episode number 2. Got a good one today. Got a special guest, Rebecca Cooke, from the BCS team. Pumped for that. What else is going on today?
Oh, just talking about transportation, some news, some other stuff. Really, yeah, just kind of hanging out, taking a break.
We need like our own Snickers bar, like where they're like taking a break, like they're hangry and then they eat it and they're like, ah.
Maybe just, with all my doom and gloom takes, maybe it should be more like freight broke.
Freight broke.
I mean, it is the second full week of 2026, and it feels like the second full month of 2026.
Also, with this being episode number 2, we still don't have a sponsor. If you are wanting to sponsor us, please reach out. You could be replacing this face right here temporarily on the screen, or Paul's face.
Or, you can put your logo up, the camera autofocuses or whatever. We could put your logo on screen. It'll look real cool, do an ad read, or we could even go as far as coming to you and filming an ad. I did decide, with a lot of, the way that I am, I decided to start wearing more color. So I tried a yellow hoodie.
You are very bright. It is unusual seeing you with this much color. I don't know how to feel about it.
I don't know how I feel about it. I'm just kind of giving it a thing. I'm like, maybe just wearing all black and super tight jeans all the time. Maybe just like, grow up a little bit, or, just kind of, just give a little bit more, be a little bit more open and welcoming.
Reel them in, and then all of a sudden pounce on them with, no, I'm just kidding.
Right, it's like, oh, that guy looks happy. Everything is terrible. No, but life is fun. The kids are good. Everything's good. Work's good. The industry is, well, you can't get too far until you hit a bump, right?
Yeah, and the trucking industry has a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to take those problems head on, because if you don't, then you're not going to find solutions, and you're just going to kick the can down the proverbial road. And there's no point in trying to tackle the regular news, because, well, we're not going to do that, because we already have enough
news that makes you say,
what the basically the Department of Labor came out, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and said that essentially truck jobs, the number of transportation trucking jobs, are the same as July of 2021. So we've pretty much made it through most of that big rise of everybody decides they want to be an owner operator and all of that. We've sort of leveled out from that. We're past that, and it's really starting to get down to where it's getting kind of gnarly. Like those numbers are very indicative of the way that things feel right now, with capacity and whatnot, and rates. It's a tough market. But then Freightwaves came out with a list this past week of layoff notices. So you've got Rail Crew Express to lay off more than 400 workers after losing CSX contract, AVI Food Systems to lay off 297 workers in Philadelphia, Packaging Corporation of America to lay off 200 workers as North Carolina Manufacturing, One Squared Logistics lays off Giant to close 128 workers, cuts 105 jobs, lays off 86 workers, shuts 71 jobs, files Chapter 11 after mass layoffs. And then on top of that, our boy Charles Gracie last week, as far as I know, was the first person I saw break it, is that Dart Transit is going to end their 90-year family ownership, and they're giving it up to a VC company, which is wild. We've done a couple video shoots out there.
Yeah, they were super awesome. I can't believe they've been in business for 90 years, and then now we're having to pivot. That's got to be a massive change for them.
Allegedly, it's supposed to stay the same, just it's changing hands. And it looks like DSV, a Danish freight forwarder who had bought USA Truck, actually just sold it back, it looks like, and it was acquired by some of their former and current executives and in leadership, actually got the company back. So that's more changing hands. And at the same time, you got the DOT stripped California of $160 million because they didn't meet the deadline to revoke 17,000 non-domicile CDLs. Lastly, FreightWaves said that Flexport, a global logistics provider, is basically saying the tariff noise isn't going away. The tariff stuff is here to stay. It's going to play just as much as a factor as it always has.
So what you're saying is just another day in the trucking industry is what you're saying.
Yeah. 2026.
2026 edition.
It's like I say it. I'll probably say it every week forever. All the quarter to quarter people are now saying it's 2027, and I'm like, something's gotta change. This environment is getting less and less easy to survive in, and it's super important to find people who want to do it right and at least band together to make it work.
Speaking of people that want to make it work, the BCS team and other sponsors like Cargado and some other awesome people wanting to make some things work. First event we've got coming up is Cross Border Connector. February 17th through the 18th. This is going to be an event that you need to check out, as well as me and Paul's favorite coming up is going to be the Broker Carrier Summit in the best place in the world, at least because we're here, and that's in Kansas City, Missouri. That's going to be April 28th through the 29th. I'm pumped. Paul's pumped. Definitely check it out. If you're wanting to check it out, jump on bcsfreightnetwork.com and build those relationships, register, and, grow with us as a community.
It really is about coming together because it's an impossible environment to survive in by yourself. And there's no reason to do freight by yourself. Don't be a weirdo. Make some friends. And that's why today, one of the people that we have on here is Rebecca Cooke, our Director of Sales and Partnerships at the BCS. How's it going?
Hey. It's going amazing, guys. Going amazing. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems really homery to, just be like, oh yeah, check out the BCS. Like a lot of people, most podcasts, it's normally what they do. They bring a lot of people on just to kind of rub their backs. But the interesting thing that I want to know from you first is you've been out there already, trying to sell sponsorship, stuff like that. But the cool part about your job is you get to interact with everybody all the time and you get to see how everybody's actually doing. How is everybody out there actually doing right now?
The beauty about what I do is it's not just slinging sponsorships and getting logos everywhere. It's like you said, truly understand how businesses are doing. There's a lot of growth happening, a lot of mergers happening, and a lot of people that want to get their name out there with their voice. I think anyone listening right now knows that it hasn't been easy past couple of years in freight. And a lot of focus is on events, a lot of focus is on getting your name out there and sponsorships. So not easy out there for sure, but with the right partnerships and the right events, anything could happen.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like without not even like partnerships and stuff like because I know you're super solutions oriented. You are, and I get that. I right. Like solutions aside, right now, what is the temperature like just as is? In the industry,
we don't want to sound. I don't want to come off as doom and gloom, right? But when you
I mean that's what
right?
That's what I do here.
You are preaching to the choir with Paul on this, yeah. So doom and gloom it up.
I mean, it's not easy. It is very strategic what's happening out there. People are being very smart with where they're allocating their money, as they should. Right. With sponsorships, what I do is I maximize revenue through a sponsorship. That's really what we bring to the table through our events. And people are being very strategic with where those dollars are going. So when you ask where the market's going, how does it feel out there? It is a relationship based more than ever kind of industry. Right. So it's not about your logo in a booth anymore. When I speak about sponsorships, it's about how do we get our name out there? How do we get our voice? There's a big push and there's a big motivation to get real branding happening. And with real branding in freight, you need real relationships. There's a thirst for trust. There's a thirst for real partnership building and relationships to be made, I'd say, especially with what's happening in the market, people being scared about tariffs, scared about what's happening next quarter, next month, tomorrow.
earlier in the show we kind of covered it. It's just everything is so volatile. And I mean, I think in listing, the outlooks, like including tomorrow, is huge because you don't know what's going to pop up. You don't know what's going to change. And that's one of the things that I push all the time is that it's the environment's not great. It's a rough environment out there. And the only way that you're going to survive it is by joining up with other people who have the intent to either make the industry a better place or to even just that don't see it as a zero-sum game, that understand that transportation in general is a system. It's a system and it needs all of its parts to work. And, people who have it's almost like there's a certain level of business mentality that if you want to be successful in this environment, you almost have to set aside and be like, hey, I am a piece of a puzzle. I need to find the right other pieces to complete the puzzle that are outside of, because if you're a good carrier, cool. If you don't have any good customers, you don't have a good broker, you don't have a good person for your equipment, you don't have a good anything else. Doesn't matter if you're good, in this environment. So saying that it's about relationships right now, I think that's absolutely huge, and I would agree with that.
Yeah, so fun fact, guys. I'm not sure if you're aware, I used to be a carrier, right? I had box trucks. Yeah, I had box trucks in South Florida, and that's the beauty about working with Dan, right? Because he has a big broker background, and so I can hear the voice of the carrier, whether major fleet owner or someone with 1 to 5 trucks. I hear the voices, I hear what they're going through, and one of the biggest moments I experienced at the BCS is a carrier closing a $2 million deal at the connection zone at one of our events. Right? That's major. It's life-changing. And why did he come? Because he heard that it was a place to make connections, and I couldn't be more proud of that. Smart sponsors don't ask about their logo placement. Smart sponsors ask about who is their buyer at the event, right? Who's there? Who's attending? The smart sponsor wants to find out if they're going to get an ROI, right? Going back to people being smart about where they're spending their marketing dollars, they want to know there'll be immediate exchange. And it's not just about, hey, put my company ABC Trucking on this booth and I'll just stand behind there. How are you activating it? How are you putting a voice? And I think that's the direction of sponsorships now, is almost like this media arm and extension of marketing with the company, right? How do you bring a brand to life? How do you create engagement? And look, if you're getting posted on LinkedIn, you've already won as a sponsor.
I think that's something me and Paul have noticed even along the road of being with BCS and the years of even not being with BCS, is it comes down to relationships. We can tell the difference because obviously we shoot a lot of commercials, documentaries, highlighting people, and you can tell, just like you're talking about the sponsors, you can tell which ones actually care about the people more and want to engage with either their audience that we're shooting, trying to highlight them, or if it's at the BCS, you can tell what sponsors actually care to close deals and meet with people. And,
That's right.
And we even talked about that on the last episode, is the people that care are actually coming up to people they don't know. They're not just standing behind a booth, like you said. Like they're coming up to me. I'm not in a suit. I got tattoos on my face. I look weird. And they're coming up and wanting to know who I am. They're wanting to actually build a relationship with you. And that shows who actually cares about the people and growing those relationships to keep business going.
Josh, you're also like a massively tall person.
It's true. I tower over people, so it's a little creepy for them too. I know that.
They're just saying hi so you don't step on them.
That's exactly it. So I know where not to step on them. Hey, size 15 shoes, okay?
If it's not you and then Paul in a banana suit, then, that's...
Well, I mean, the banana suit kind of retired with my last job. So we're going to have to figure something out.
Strawberries 2026. Let's go.
Yeah, no, it really is, though. Like, that's the thing. And it makes it harder to get in this space and be terrible when you have places to elevate the people who are doing the right thing and doing it right.
I think it's really strategic, and that's why one of our core values is brand elevation, right? With intentionality. And, no one buys, no one, I'd like to say, I believe that no one buys into tech right? No one will buy a platform, your TMS or whatever it is that you're selling because you gave them a pen or stress ball or whatever it is, whatever tchotchke that you like to give away at the event. They will purchase and they will transact with you if you taught them something. If you had some kind of exchange of value where it's like, here's where you are, here's where we can take you, and you build that trust. That's why in-person sales and in-person events are so important. And I think to your point, Josh, there's a lot of misalignment. What sponsors sometimes can get wrong is the marketing team is like, boom, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be the headline sponsor. We're going to max it out at the BCS. Let's go. But if we don't align the leadership and the sales team, you got a whole bunch of salespeople there, right? Maybe that come to the event that aren't aligned with the marketing efforts. So the interactions from like all the different team members at the event might not be as effective, right? So, that's where I come in, and I have maybe made too many meetings with our sponsors before the event. You guys see me from the day 1 to day 3 of the event or 2. I don't stop.
I think hot take to any of the sponsors, carriers, anyone coming or is sponsoring the BCS, I think it comes down to one thing. You don't want people to leave seeing your name everywhere in that event. You want people leaving remembering your name from that event and actually have built a relationship, because otherwise I don't remember who the person was. I just remember they were all over, but I didn't actually interact with them.
That's right.
Sponsorship is definitely a tool to like get you. It's like the banana costume that I used to wear. And I know that sounds silly, but I mean that was marketing. That was that, because I'd be wearing it and people would be like, "Oh, you're wearing a banana costume. Why are you wearing a banana costume?" And I would be like, "It's actually a marketing ploy, and it works really well because now we're talking." They're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, what do you do?" And then we'd start a conversation, and then that's how it would open. But it's one of those things you're going to remember. The essentially my signage was the banana costume, but then it would start conversations, and now those people, they know what I do. They recognize me outside of what caught their attention, because what I had to say after that also caught their attention and brought value.
Paul, don't be so humble. You were also a LinkedIn celebrity for the day.
That is true. All right, so we've got 2 events coming up, Rebecca. I want to hear your take on the first one, obviously coming up in February, the cross-border connector in Laredo, Texas, February 17th through the 18th. What can people expect? Why should people attend it? Maybe why should people sponsor it? So on and so forth. I want to hear all your thoughts on the cross-border connector.
This cross-border connector, thank you for asking that, is going to be epic. It is our premier event. It is really highlighting what it is. What does it mean to do business between the U.S. and Mexico, right? So we'll be talking everything from tariffs to safety at the border to uncovering a lot of mysteries and where the warehouse is, and how do I make connections if I'm a broker and I need a carrier that's based out of Mexico or someone that does business, like how do I make that relationship and know that person face to face? It is our premier event, so I like to say it's going to be the most intimate. We have a major focus on making connections, right? It's not going to be super educational. Listen to this panel for 3 hours and then we'll have some drinks. No, it's going to be very intentional to make connections. We've got some really exciting sponsors that are working with us. Shamrock Financial, we have Cargado working with us, and some other sponsors that'll be announced in the near future.
So I guess my question is, to me, if I'm a carrier, I don't know anything about it. And then on top of that, the way the world is right now, if I'm a carrier or a broker and I don't know anything about cross-border freight, is this worth it for me? Is it a safe space to go and be essentially ignorant but willing to learn? Like, what does that look like from the standpoint for someone who doesn't know anything about it, finds it intimidating, but is interested?
if you find something intimidated and you're interested, then you're on the right track, period. Whether it's the cross-border connector, anything as a business owner, right? And the answer to that, the short one, is yes, definitely come. That means you've got a wealth of experience and you are someone that's genuine and wants to get some business done. Come over to the event, right? You don't transact and grow your business by being curious behind a screen, right? You grow, you go to an event, you shake some hands, you meet some people, you throw the dice, and you set some meetings, and you make it productive, right? So, and that goes for someone that's interested as coming as an attendee, and you don't know anything about doing business, but you want to expand in Mexico. This is the perfect event for you to come to. It is the premier event that we're hosting, and there's no other event like it. Just like we did with the BCS, bringing brokers and carriers into a room, right? The unreconcilable, reconcilable. We're hoping, throwing the dice and hoping that things go well. There's a lot of things to talk about between brokers and carriers, yell about, fight about. But, you throw an event together, you get people in a room and you get deals to happen. And that's what we've seen with the BCS over the past 3 years. And that's definitely what we're bringing over to the cross-border connector, expanding from a national standpoint to now bring it between the US and Mexico and ... maybe more as we grow.
Also, speaking of the BCS, the next one's in Kansas City. The next actual broker carrier summit. There's the cross-border connector, but the actual BCS is in April in Kansas City. What are you looking forward to about that as far as what you've done so far with planning and what you've seen?
Humbly speaking, I am really excited to see the attendance over for the Kansas City BCS. The kind of impact and voices that want to get on panels and speak and educate the audience, right? Getting associations now interested, getting more resources for carriers, keeping the attendance at, it was 50-50, almost 50-50 split between carriers and brokers at the event. So I think the most thing I'm most excited to see is the growth in people that we're educating and helping. And I'm excited to see more deals get done. We're taking not very different approach, but we're taking a step back and pulling the curtain back to networking. What we found is a lot of carriers sticking to themselves at these events, kind of being, nervous to speak to people and interact with brokers, or brokers just trying to find those carriers. So we'll be doing a lot of, how to network sessions and panels before the event even launches. So I'm super excited for that. I think the industry needs that push to help people.
Yep.
Right. As a carrier, I would be at events a social butterfly, right? Because that's how you get deals done. But if you don't have that experience and you just know how to, run your operation, you've always been behind the screen for so many years, you go to an event with 600, 700, 800 people, it's a little scary.
Yeah, no, it's hard. And I can't remember who it was. We interviewed somebody for something. It might have been on my old podcast. I think it was Adam Wingfield. And he said that when he started, one of the things that he would do is he would force himself at like networking events. He'd force himself into the middle of the room and make himself work his way out. That's
a really good strategy.
I do want to ask one question while we got you on here and before we let you go and give the people all your information, all that stuff. You're kind of a girl badass boss, right? Like you crush it with sales. You've done all the things. We haven't had women in logistics on here yet, so I'm sure we'll way deep dive more into that when we do. I am curious from your take because it used to be a very male dominant, driven industry, driven, no pun intended. But now it does seem like it's shifting a little bit. What is some advice or something that you wish younger you would have known if you were getting into this industry as a woman, something like that? Here's your moment to shine for, the younger you, the women that are looking to get into logistics.
Oh man, younger me, that's trouble. But Josh, thank you for that. I don't take that lightly. And, I think women in logistics, being one myself, we're around, we're here, there's no emerging surface of like new talent that's coming to the table. It's just a matter of highlighting, badass women like myself, just getting out there and leading. What I would tell my younger self is to not be intimidated to enter the sales world. I was always, I'm coming to you with a 15-year hospitality background in operations, right? I know people, I know service, but sales was always, it was scary, right? Anything that's generating revenue was a very intimidating thing. And being in a male dominated industry doesn't really faze me so much. I guess because I have a male dominated family and I'm going to have 12 uncles and a whole bunch of cousins, and it's a natural place for me. So I never really saw that as a challenge, it being male dominated. I always saw it as a relationship based industry. And you can identify and feel who to make connections with and who to make partnerships with and who to build with. So what I would tell my younger self is to get over myself and get in sales conversations, lead rooms, have more meetings, help more people. And I was that person that was always behind the screen and that was always intimidated to shake some hands and network and get out there. So, have fun with it. That's number one. And then everything has to be so scary, even if you're not dressed as a banana.
So one thing I would ask on that, and I think a lot of people struggle with it, just in general. You said lead the room. Like sometimes that's the like. What do you do? Because I know imposter syndrome is a thing that a lot of people go through, and I mean I feel like half the people that are out there networking, you feel like you have imposter syndrome, like you don't matter, or like why am I here? Why should they listen to me? But the fact of the matter is probably 90% of those people feel that way that you're talking to. They're just toughing through it. So my question is, in that situation, how do you take charge of a room? Maybe not even charge, but like how do you make yourself feel like you belong in the room, like you should be at the table?
So when I come to an event, right, or show up to meet with people or lead a room or just maximize my ROI at a conference as an attendee, everything that you need is everything that you already have. So I feel like a lot of people show up to an event and they're just like, I just have 5 years of experience, or I'm just a dispatcher, or I'm just an account person. And this is just what I do. And no one really wants to talk to me. What value do I have? And it's all these like questions that come up that you just like, I'll just find someone that's equal that I probably know, and I'll just hang out with them for the rest of the event. We'll just bump shoulders and hang out. Well, that's just doing yourself a disservice, right? If you're not having lunch with or meeting with or making a connection with someone that is, 3 levels above you or has a wealth of experience more than you, or someone that's just starting out that might need your help, you're almost, letting yourself down in that way.
It almost sounds like if the word just is involved with what you're doing, then it's probably wrong. If you're just something or just going to do something, it's probably not that.
Right. Remove just. I do it a lot too. Hey, I'm just, follow up is a bad word. I'm just reaching out, bad word. Like, hey, listen, reason for my call, reason for my email, reason for me coming up for you today. You don't know me, but this is what I do. And I'd love to learn how I could be a resource, right? Coming from a place of service, which I think all of us on the BCS do, right? When we're at an event, it is like all across the board, we have the same approach. Everyone comes from a place of service, whether it's like, here's where the water is, or like, that's where that session is taking place. Or would you like to sponsor next year? Like, come from a place of service. How can I help you? If I'm a carrier, like these are my assets. This is what I've got. This is where I run. If I'm a broker, here's what I need help with. ... Whatever. Coming from that place of service and being genuine about what you do and just being yourself, that takes everything to the next level. That's what makes you shine, right? Because going back to how we started this is being genuine, right? Whether you're a sponsor and attendee, you want to make a connection with people. And how do you do that? You don't just put your name on a logo. You don't just show up to an event and say, here's my badge and I hope someone talks to me. You talk about what you do and how you help people and why you started your business in the first place, and things will happen.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. And I know you're busy, and I know it's we got a lot of stuff coming up, and you're out there just talking to everybody. But yeah, so if someone did want to talk to you and get on that list, how do people get a hold of you?
Please get a hold of me at sponsors@brokercarriersummit.com, LinkedIn under Rebecca Cooke, and I respond quickly to both. So I'd love to meet with anyone and everyone that wants to be a part of the Cross-Border Connector and everything that we're building there, and the BCS, whether it's in Kansas City in the spring or Dallas in the fall. We are cranking. So I look forward to meeting with everyone, being a resource, and elevating everyone's brand. Let's go.
You've been listening to the Freight Break on the BCS Freight Network. And now, you're not.